What if I told you that one of reality TV's most famous family farms may have been the center of a shocking betrayal, a secret deal that turned trust into profit and left Amy Roloff cheated out of millions? This isn't just family drama. It's being called the Roloff Farm Heist, a story of hidden agendas, broken relationships, and money changing hands in the shadows. For years, fans of Little People, Big World watched Matt and Amy Roloff build their dream together, a sprawling farm that became both their livelihood and the centerpiece of the show. But after their divorce, that same farm turned into the ultimate battleground. And standing right in the middle of it all, Caryn Chandler, Matt's longtime girlfriend, and the woman some claim orchestrated the biggest betrayal yet. As tensions rose between Matt and Amy, whispers began that Caryn wasn't just a bystander. Allegations suggest she may have played a key role in a behind-the-scenes deal that changed the ownership of Roloff Farms forever. Was it manipulation? Was it strategy? Or was it love tangled with money and power? Tonight, we're diving deep into the shocking truth, the backroom conversations, the emotional fallout, and the millions that may have slipped right through Amy's hands. Stay tuned, because the secrets we're about to uncover will change the way you see the Roloff family forever. Do you want me to expand this into a full 5-minute intro script with added suspenseful pacing, like a YouTube documentary-style voiceover, or keep it tight and dramatic for a punchy opener? Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. For Roloff family latest news update, please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. Roloff Farms was never just a piece of land. For Matt and Amy Roloff, it was the living embodiment of a dream they had built together from the ground up. When they first purchased the farm in Helvetia, Oregon, it was little more than a simple house and acres of untamed fields. But with Matt's endless imagination and Amy's dedication to family, it transformed into something extraordinary, a magical place filled with pumpkin patches, a castle, a pirate ship, and endless attractions that became a local treasure. Over the years, the farm didn't just grow crops. It grew memories. It grew a reputation. Families would come from across the country during pumpkin season just to walk the land and meet the Roloffs. And thanks to TLC's Little People, Big World, the farm became a worldwide icon, symbolizing resilience, love, and the idea that dreams can be built no matter the obstacles. For a long time, it was the glue holding the Roloff family together. But behind the warm smiles and harvest celebrations, cracks were forming. Matt and Amy's marriage, once the backbone of everything, began to crumble. Longtime fans watched as small disagreements turned into heated arguments. Where Amy saw tradition and family roots, Matt saw expansion and business opportunities. Their visions for the farm and for life no longer aligned. The divorce changed everything. Matt and Amy's split wasn't just emotional, it was deeply tied to the land itself. The farm became a symbol of not only what they had achieved together, but also what they had lost. It raised questions. Who would carry the dream forward? Who had the right to decide the future of Roloff Farms? In the aftermath, Matt slowly assumed more control. Piece by piece, the farm began to reflect his vision rather than the shared dream it once was. And that power shift sparked new waves of tension, not only between Matt and Amy, but among their children as well. It was during this time that Caryn Chandler entered the picture. Once an employee at Roloff Farms, she eventually became far more than that. Matt's partner, his confidant, and, to some fans, the new power behind the throne. For Amy, the presence of Caryn was a painful reminder that the family dynamic had changed forever. For the children, it created new questions about loyalty, inheritance, and the legacy of the farm they grew up on. The once united Roloff dream was no longer a simple story of success. It had become a battlefield of pride, betrayal, and shifting alliances, setting the stage for some of the most explosive family drama yet. Caryn Chandler's story with the Roloff family goes back long before she became romantically involved with Matt. She wasn't just a newcomer stepping into the spotlight. She had been part of the farm's operations for years, working behind the scenes as a manager at Roloff Farms. This close proximity to the family gave her unique access, not just to the day-to-day operations, but also to the personal dynamics between Matt and Amy. Some fans even believe this early connection laid the groundwork for the controversy that was to follow. As Matt and Amy's marriage began to unravel, Caryn's role seemed to shift from employee to confidant. Allegations swirled that Caryn was quietly influencing Matt's decisions, particularly in the years leading up to the farm's ownership changes. To many viewers, it appeared as though Caryn's presence emboldened Matt, giving him the push to take fuller control of the farm and distance himself from Amy. The so-called heist narrative gained traction when Amy decided to sell her share of Roloff Farms to Matt. To outsiders, this seemed like a straightforward business transaction. But fans and critics alike began speculating. Was Amy pressured into the deal? Was there manipulation at play behind closed doors? The timing and circumstances raised eyebrows, with many questioning whether Amy truly had a choice, or whether the situation was stacked against her from the start. What made the situation even more explosive was the belief that Caryn stood to gain significantly from the outcome. By aligning herself with Matt, Caryn not only became his partner, but also, indirectly, tied herself to the property and financial empire the farm represented. To many fans, it looked like a carefully orchestrated move that left Amy at a disadvantage while Caryn reaped the rewards. Public backlash was fierce. Rumors of manipulation, betrayal, and opportunism spread across social media and fan forums. Some supporters of Amy painted Caryn as the villain in this family saga, the outsider who leveraged her position for personal gain. Others defended her, arguing that she simply fell in love with Matt and that the business decisions were separate from their personal relationship. Regardless of where people stood, one thing was clear. Caryn's rise within the Roloff story wasn't just about romance. It was about power, influence, and money. The fallout from the Roloff Farm deal was nothing short of explosive. For Amy Roloff, selling her portion of the property wasn't just a financial decision. It was emotional, deeply personal, and tied to decades of her life. She had raised her children there, celebrated milestones, and invested not just money, but her heart. To part ways with the land felt like giving up a part of herself. Many fans argue Amy's decision wasn't entirely voluntary. Did she really get a fair deal, or was she cornered into selling for far less than what her share was worth? Speculation swirled online, with some insisting she may have been cheated out of millions. After all, Roloff Farms wasn't just prime real estate. It was a cultural touchstone thanks to years of exposure on Little People, Big World. The farm's visibility and brand power alone carried value beyond the soil and structures. And that's where Caryn Chandler enters the picture. Fans began theorizing that Caryn, Matt's girlfriend, at the time and now fiancé, had more influence behind the scenes than anyone realized. Some believe Caryn pushed for Amy's exit, knowing that once Amy was out of the picture, Matt could gain full control of the farm, control that Caryn, by extension, could benefit from. Was it manipulation? A clever business strategy? Or simply timing that worked in Caryn's favor? The answers remain murky, but the suspicions remain strong in fan communities. Zach and Jeremy's disappointment added more fuel to the fire. Both sons had expressed interest in carrying on the family legacy, but negotiations quickly soured. Matt's asking price and strict conditions left the boys feeling shut out. What could have been a generational handoff instead turned into bitterness, resentment, and fractured relationships. Fans pointed out that while the Roloff brand was built on family unity, the farm's fate revealed just how divided they had become. This split in dynamics created two very clear sides. On one, Matt and Caryn, steering the future of Roloff Farms. On the other, Amy, Zach, Jeremy, and the children who once dreamed of making the farm their own. For longtime viewers, it felt like the ultimate betrayal of the show's original message, family first. Now, fans question whether money, pride, and outside influence destroyed the dream that once united them all. As we step back and look at the bigger picture, Caryn Chandler's presence undeniably reshaped the Roloff empire. What once started as a family dream built by Matt and Amy became something entirely different, a business intertwined with new relationships, fresh ambitions, and, of course, plenty of controversy. Caryn didn't just enter Matt's life as a partner. Her involvement in the farm, the negotiations, and the decision-making left many fans believing she influenced the empire's direction more than anyone expected. The so-called Roloff Farm Heist is more than just a phrase. It's become symbolic of deeper family wounds. It represents the pain of children feeling excluded, the sting of Amy believing she was pressured into decisions, and the broader tension between holding onto tradition versus moving into a new chapter. Whether one sees Caryn as the mastermind or simply as a convenient scapegoat, her role highlights just how fragile family legacies can become when love, money, and power collide. For Amy, though, life has moved forward. With her marriage to Chris Merrick, she's found new joy and stability. No longer tied to the farm's daily battles, Amy has embraced a different kind of happiness, one focused on her personal growth, her relationship, and the freedom to step out from under the shadow of Roloff Farms. Meanwhile, Matt and Caryn continue to map out their own future. With plans to fully enjoy the farm, develop it further, and possibly pass it on in new ways, their vision is clear, though not everyone agrees with it. Fans are left wondering, will the farm ever feel like Roloff Farms again, or has it permanently shifted into Matt and Caryn's territory? And that's where the heart of the debate lies, in the reactions of fans who remain divided. Some see Caryn as the partner who helped Matt build a future after a painful divorce, while others feel she played too large a role in dismantling the Roloff legacy as we knew it. The lingering questions still hover. Was Amy truly cheated out of millions, or was this simply the result of hard family choices? Could the Roloff children have saved the farm, or was it destined to fall apart under the weight of expectation? The story of the Roloffs isn't finished, but one thing is certain. The farm may still stand, the pumpkins may still grow, and TLC may still tell their story, but the Roloff family we first met has been forever changed. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time. What if I told you that the biggest betrayal in Little People, Big World didn't unfold on the screen, but in the shadows, far away from the cameras? A betrayal so deep that fans now call it the Roloff Farm Heist. At the center of this storm stands Caryn Chandler, Matt Roloff's longtime partner, accused of secretly shaping the future of Roloff Farms in a way that left Amy Roloff feeling cornered and, perhaps, cheated out of millions. For decades, Roloff Farms wasn't just property. It was the Roloff legacy, a symbol of family pride, sacrifice, and dreams. But when love soured and Matt and Amy's marriage crumbled, that very legacy turned into a battlefield. Divorce papers may have been signed, but the farm became the ultimate prize. And this is where Caryn's shadow loomed larger than anyone expected. Was she simply standing by Matt's side as a supportive partner, or was she quietly pulling strings behind the scenes? Was this just a matter of business negotiations, or the start of something far more sinister? An orchestrated move that would forever fracture the Roloff family? Roloff Farms wasn't just any farm, it was the heart of Little People, Big World. Viewers watched Matt and Amy plant seeds, harvest pumpkins, and welcome thousands of visitors each fall. Families across America made it a tradition to come to Roloff Farms during pumpkin season, and that tradition turned the property into a cultural landmark. But behind the charm of hayrides and pumpkin patches, cracks began to show. Matt and Amy's different personalities, which once complemented each other, started to clash. Matt was the dreamer, the one with big ideas, grand visions, and risky investments. Amy was the stabilizer, the one who kept things grounded, cautious about money, and focused on the family first. Over time, what had once made them strong partners became a source of constant conflict. Their divorce was not just the end of a marriage, it was the start of a new battle. What to do with Roloff Farms? Amy still held significant ownership, but she no longer felt like she belonged there. Matt, on the other hand, couldn't imagine letting it go. He wanted to expand, innovate, and reshape the farm into his vision. That meant Amy had a difficult choice: stay and keep fighting for her piece of the legacy, or sell and walk away. Enter Caryn Chandler. Caryn wasn't new to the Roloffs. She had worked on the farm for years, helping manage pumpkin season and the day-to-day operations. By the time Matt and Amy's marriage was dissolving, Caryn had stepped into a far more personal role, Matt's new partner. To many fans, this was a turning point. Caryn wasn't just a bystander anymore. She was part of the inner circle, influencing decisions that would affect not just Matt, but the entire Roloff family. It's here that family tension truly boiled over. Zach and Jeremy, the Roloff twins, had dreams of taking over the farm themselves. They grew up there, worked the fields, and carried memories of childhood adventures across the land. Fans hoped the property would stay in the family, passed down from Matt and Amy to their kids. But negotiations, disagreements about money, control, and even trust fractured the family further. Zach and Jeremy both stepped back, disheartened and frustrated. Amy, caught in the middle, was left to decide what mattered most, clinging to the past or finding freedom in letting go. In the end, she sold her portion of the farm to Matt, a decision that shocked viewers and fueled accusations that she had been pressured into walking away. But what role did Caryn really play in this outcome? To some, she was simply Matt's supportive partner. To others, she was the quiet force behind the scenes, the person who made sure Matt got exactly what he wanted. And as the dust settled, the farm that once symbolized unity had now become the centerpiece of division. Caryn's role in the Roloff story is complicated. On the surface, she was just an employee, a farm manager who helped with events, the pumpkin patch, and day-to-day operations. But as the years passed, her closeness with Matt seemed to grow. And when Matt and Amy's marriage ended, Caryn's place in his life became more prominent. That shift didn't just change the family dynamic, it changed the trajectory of Roloff Farms. To many fans, Caryn wasn't simply a supportive partner. They believed she became a central player in the farm's power struggle. Amy, emotionally drained from the divorce, faced the difficult decision of selling her share of the farm. Rather than passing it to her children, as viewers had long hoped, Amy agreed to sell to Matt. But here's the catch. Critics argue the deal undervalued the property, stripping Amy of a financial future she had helped build from the ground up. This is where speculation about Caryn's influence intensifies. Some say Caryn encouraged Matt to secure Amy's portion quickly, before market pressures or outside buyers could drive up the value. Others accuse Caryn of persuading Matt with a vision of controlling the entire farm together, leaving Amy with a fraction of what the land was worth. The term heist might sound dramatic, but fans insist it fits. Instead of a robbery in the dead of night, this was a transaction carried out in broad daylight, through signatures and contracts. And yet, to many loyal viewers, it felt just as painful. They weren't just watching property change hands. They were watching a legacy shift from one half of the family to the other, while Amy seemed cornered into compliance. The backlash was swift. Forums, Facebook groups, and even TLC fan pages lit up with heated debates. Did Amy settle out of exhaustion? Was she pressured by Matt's persistence and Caryn's presence? Or was it simply a business decision gone wrong? Regardless, Caryn was painted as the silent puppeteer, someone who entered the Roloff world as an employee and walked away with influence that reshaped an empire. Amy's emotional journey struck a chord with longtime viewers. For decades, Roloff Farms wasn't just a property. It was Amy's pride, her family's home, and the stage where her children grew up. Watching her walk away left many fans with a sense of injustice. They argued that Amy had put just as much blood, sweat, and tears into the farm as Matt, yet when it came time to divide assets, she seemed to walk away with far less than what she truly deserved. And while Amy eventually found love again with Chris Merrick, her marriage didn't erase the lingering wounds from that chapter. Many fans point out that, even in her happiest moments, there's a bittersweet undertone when she talks about the farm. It's almost as though part of her was left behind in those pumpkin patches and family fields. The situation grew even more complicated when Zach and Jeremy weighed in. Both sons had expressed interest in buying into the farm, continuing the Roloff legacy for another generation. But according to them, the negotiations were strained and ultimately unworkable. The disappointment was clear, and fans couldn't help but notice how the failed deal pushed the brothers further away from Matt. Instead of keeping the farm in the family, the land became another wedge that deepened existing rifts. Then came the fan theories, whispers that Caryn was more involved than anyone realized. To her critics, She wasn't just a supportive partner to Matt. She was a strategist who may have influenced every step of the farm's future. They wonder if Caryn viewed the land not through the lens of family history, but as a lucrative investment and lifestyle upgrade. Did she nudge Matt toward choices that made negotiations with Amy and the kids nearly impossible? Or was she simply caught in the middle of a storm that was destined to erupt no matter what? Online discussions remain fierce to this day. On Reddit, Facebook groups, and fan forums, the debate rages. Was Amy truly cornered into selling? And if so, how much of that decision was Caryn's doing? Some insist Amy was wronged, cheated out of millions. Others argue Matt was simply making practical business moves for the future. But no matter which side fans take, the emotional fallout for Amy remains undeniable. The farm wasn't just land. It was her life story, and losing it felt to many like watching a piece of her heart break on screen. Looking back, the Roloff Farm Heist isn't just about money. It's about family, legacy, and how trust can fracture when personal lives collide with